Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel jam si Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
Coffee time with Peter Gomez on Tuesday, the 22nd of April 2025. It's time now to hear from Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, the Gambia's Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services. Good morning. Did you have a good long weekend?
Good morning. Good morning, Peter. Yes, it was a very good one, restful weekend. I wish you a happy Easter holidays.
Thank you.
All Christians around the world and in the Gambia, happy Easter weekend. But also, I joined the Catholic community, the Roman Catholic community globally and in the Gambia to mourn the passing of Pope Francis.
Fantastic. It's good to hear from somebody in government because until now we haven't had any statement from government.
The President
whereas
made a statement yesterday.
Who?
The President.
Oh, he made a mini statement.
Yes, the full statement is coming out today.
The full statement is coming out today. Okay, because we always hear from the UDP, the opposition. You can understand why.
Yes, of course.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, you have a meeting to attend. Not much time for us this morning. We usually start with updates.
Yes.
What's the latest from
Quickly,
your end? Yes.
The first one, the president is a presidential message on the passing of Pope Francis.
Ah, okay.
The President, His Excellency Adambor, extends heartfelt condolences to the Vatican and the global Roman Catholic community on the passing of His Holiness Pope Francis on Easter Monday. The President also equally earlier shared a message of peace, unity, and hope with the Gambian Christian community in celebration of Easter weekend. This is from the Presidency. From the Vice Presidency, the Vice President, His Excellency Mohamed B.S. Jallow, led a high-level Gambian delegation to Accra, Ghana, to attend the 50th ECOWAS anniversary celebrations in Accra. Obviously, key themes would include strengthening democratic governance, enhancing inter-regional trade, and promoting peace and security in West Africa.
How presidential statements now, shared with the media fraternity? There was a time when State House would always email, because email for most of us, conservatives,
that is still
it's still the most trusted way of, sharing information.
I think that is still the norm, or through WhatsApp group. When changes with WhatsApp groups came, I think there's a WhatsApp group. I'm not sure I'll find out, but I know that it's shared with the media houses, either through their emails.
Well, we are not part of any WhatsApp group that involves State House, which would not surprise us because, State House doesn't consider West Coast Radio a partner. You made this very clear to us.
I don't agree with that.
In your early days as a minister.
This message was the message posted by His Excellency the President on his social media handles. The official statement is coming out today. I think this will be shared through emails that the Office of the President has. Bojang will share the full official message today. And I hope that you will receive yours.
Okay.
With West Coast Radio.
Government is being accused of illegal demolitions in Salaji. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think we've had a press conference with this, together with the Physical Planning Department, I think 2 weeks ago. And they made it very clear that the Salaji, the layout, and where the demolitions took place, was a reserved land for public amenities.
Reserved or acquired land by the government?
It's reserved by the government. It's a layout. So the layout, a particular portion was reserved for public amenities. Like in any layout, you reserve a special space for public, like cemeteries, like hospitals, like schools, like community centers. Like
so the government's argument is that controversial area was declared a layout, reserved as a layout from day one, not acquired as we seem to be hearing now.
They acquired it to be used as a layout. They acquired it from the indigents, the Kabilolus.
They acquired
they've
it.
Already paid them.
The question now is, where is proof of acquisition?
Well, that should be with the Ministry of Lands or with Physical Planning.
Well, they're saying the ministry is unable to provide this proof.
Well, we can find that out. I'm not sure whether that is the case. What I know, and that is from government, from Physical Planning and Ministry of Lands, is that the place was acquired and reserved and made and transformed into a layout. Within the layout, there is a space for public amenities, which was reserved. And this is the land that was sold again by those who they acquired the land from. And also the encroachment. So because of this encroachment, government has no choice but to do the demolition after following due process.
Okay. Well, these days we get a lot of statements from the UDP's Tombong Seidi. He's come out again firing at the Kerewan Area Council. UDP condemns frivolous spending by NPP-controlled Kerewan Area Council. Taxpayers' money wasted on luxury while communities suffer. Somewhere down the statement, it says the Barrow-led NPP Kerenkafo government has remained conspicuously silent on KAC's excesses. You're now part of that.
I'm even surprised that language should come from an official communication from an opposition political party.
But that's the language you should expect from the opposition. You can't expect them to...
No, not that. That is not the language we expect from...
language of criticism? Of course, that's what you should expect.
Criticism. The Kerenkafo statement, that particular phrase, is not something we expect from a serious... It
wasn't coined by Tombong. It was coined by somebody who is now central to the plan. That is Momodu Sabali.
It doesn't matter who coined it. What we are talking about now, who is using it. That is what we are saying, that a serious political party who is an opposition, who is planning to go into government, should not use certain language against a sitting government. That is not right. That is one thing. Secondly, what I see Tombong doing recently is a deflection. The Local Government Commission of Inquiry is unearthing a lot of malpractices and corruption in some UDP-led councils. And they're not talking about that. They are going after councils that are working hard. I'm not a spokesperson for the council. I'm not an information minister for the council. The council at Kerewan will deal with that. I think they have a befitting response to this statement. But what I can say is that the fact that now the government is being dragged into this, I can say there is a deflection. What they should be talking about is the massive corruption unearthed in some UDP-led councils through the Commission of Inquiry. I think that should be the issue here.
You're not worried that allegedly $7.6 million taxpayers' money was spent to buy only 2 vehicles? 7.6 million?
Well, I think every council does what they think they need at the time. I cannot speak for the council, like
including
I said.
Spending 7.6 million on only 2 vehicles.
I cannot speak for the council. The council will respond to that. What I can say is that the terminology used to describe the government is not befitting. It shouldn't expected come from a serious opposition political party. And
now they are planning, according to the statement, to spend 2 million on travel. I mean, they're going to...
Well, like I said, I'm not the spokesperson for the council. They'll respond to that with the appropriate time. What I can say is that the UDP and the person who is writing this statement should also talk about the corruption that is being unearthed and the UDP-led councils.
Okay. Let's go back to, the issue of, Salaji and some questions relating to the legality of certain creations. Is the Local Government Service Commission, as well as the Commission of Inquiry into Local Governments, established by the President, legally constituted?
Of course, they are legally constituted.
Are the coordinators assigned to local councils by the President via the Ministry of Local Government lawfully appointed?
Of course, they are lawfully appointed.
Does the Ministry of Local Government even have the legal authority to appoint staff within local councils?
Well, I think they should, otherwise they wouldn't do it.
So you are not sure about that one?
They should. They would. I would assume that they should.
Okay. Let's do some text messages for you before you leave the studio. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Please ask, or rather, please inform the Minister of Information so that he can notify the Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure about this particular issue. Imagine from Old Joshuang Oryx petrol station to Sitting Corner Junction, before where you now have the new OIC highway starts, and also from Sitting Corner to Cape Point Junction heading to Banjul. None of these streets have street lights, or rather none of these street lights are functioning. And also, after Denton Bridge towards Central Prison to National Assembly, none of the street lights are functioning too, which can cause danger to us, the road users, especially during the early hours. The roads are very invisible, and you have to drive in full light in order to be able to see clearly, which may affect other drivers. For those of us driving during early hours to work in Banjul, this is our concern. We want to put this concern before the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure.
Well, I'll escalate this to the NRA level and see.
Why NRA? They are asking you to talk to your fellow minister.
Yeah, but the operational arm responsible for this is the National Roads Authority. Even if you talk to the minister will have
just talk to the minister and let him, filter the information down the hierarchy.
I thank him for the feedback. This is good, and we'll escalate this and see what can be done.
Good morning, Peter. Personally, I think the only way Gambia can develop is when all external aid and handouts is stopped completely. It may initially be difficult, but it will help us to come up with plans as to how to survive as a nation. We are too dependent on handouts, making us not use the vast human resource base we have. It makes me feel bad when I see our ministers happily receiving aid or just handouts. Are you happy to receive?
I think that has changed. I think the president has a vision to focus on local resource mobilization using innovative ways of financing the public purse. What is important is that out of the 52 billion that is budgeted for this year, almost 62% will be locally resourced. And the medium to long-term vision of His Excellency President is to reduce our dependency, just like he's suggesting. So this is something that we are focusing on. We want to make sure that we focus on how we are going to generate local revenue to finance our budget.
A budget that is now almost what? Is it 60 billion?
52 billion.
Yeah, almost 60.
Well, that is good news.
You think if foreign aid stops, we can, finance a budget of $60 billion? Where are we getting that from?
Well, if we are able to do 62% of that through local revenue generation, I think anything is possible. I mean, obviously...
The maximum we expect this year is 23 billion. That's not even half 60 billion.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that everything starts somewhere. What is important is that consider population growth, consider the expansion of the provision of services. I mean, if you as a family, your budget is gone up from 100 to 200, it means you are growing.
Okay. Hi, Peter. Good morning. I am Sidi Kusuno from Faraba Banta. The woman who was stripped by KMC police for stealing money without a doubt, she should be prosecuted. There's no justification, however. There's no justification for her crime, but her rights and that of her child were violated, and that needs to be addressed. No excuses here. Well, this is a matter for KMC. I don't know whether you saw the video that was doing the rounds of this poor woman.
I saw the video, and I also followed the story. I think, yes, you are right. This is a matter for the KMC to deal with. But as a government, we believe and we take very seriously when public servants are doing their job, they must do it within the framework of the law. That is what is important, and everybody has a right. Anywhere in the world, even those who are allegedly found to be committing a crime, they have their rights, and their rights are always read to them. So that is it. As a government, I think if anybody, no matter whether you're a police officer or whether you're a civil servant, if you do your job outside the framework of the law, we really condemn this. It is not government policy.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. About Salaji, the land they are talking about was given to government officials. Ismaila is just backing them. I mean, I need you to clear this allegation.
I think people have to understand one thing, Peter. My job is to convey from what I get from the sectors. I'm not here to back anybody. What I can speak for what they tell me at physical is what I'm conveying to the public. Now, what is happening in reality, I don't know about that. And if anybody thinks that something in the country now, and what I'm happy to tell you that, Peter, rule of law is working in this country. Our courts are independent. Our courts are working. If everybody thinks that your rights have been infringed, you can take legal action. There are judgments against government every other day. So
true.
obviously, I mean, what I'm conveying here is what I get from the sector concerning the topic. So if that's what I'm conveying to the public, I'm not backing anybody.
And the word out there is, I mean, these demolitions are being, pursued with vigor because the land affected was actually distributed among you government officials. Did you get part of Salaji?
No, I did not get any land.
Do you know any friend,
I don't know
any
anybody.
colleague?
I didn't know anybody who has. I mean, obviously these are also allegations. Why is the proof?
Allegations
that is
by
the case?
who?
And for me, I
Allegations
think
by who?
The people who are making allegations.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is
This
that,
time it's not UDP, is it?
And I've listened to the people from physical planning. One thing they raised was that the people who built these structures didn't have a development permit or a building permit. Now, if you have a land and you believe you've acquired the land rightfully and you have a building or a development permit and government came to demolish your land, take the government to court. It's very simple. There should not be any back and forth with this, Peter. I mean, it's very simple. If you believe you have the title deed, you have acquired land in the right way, you have done all the necessary paperwork that you need to develop the property, government comes one day and demolishes it, then take legal action. It's very simple. There are judgments against the government. So for me, I don't see the reason for this back and forth. Accusations and counter-accusations. It's not important here. What is important here? You believe that you acquired the land rightfully. You've done all the necessary paperwork you need to develop your land. You've got all that paperwork, that document. Take the necessary action if you believe that government has infringed your rights.
Axila James Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bisul mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Hi, Uncle Peter. The UDP should work on addressing the corrupt practices being carried out by the UDP-led councils. They should lead by example. I'm sure you would welcome that comment. Good morning.
No, I'm not only welcoming. I think that's a fact. I mean, it baffles me, and I'm gobsmacked that the UDP are silent about when it comes to revelations of corrupt practices in UDP-led councils. But they are very quickly eager to go after government whenever there are accusations against government.
Well, that shouldn't surprise you because the UDP dismissed the Local Government Commission of Inquiry from day one as a witch hunt.
No, it's not a witch
targeting
hunt.
mainly,
We've always known that.
And later on, we heard Rohim Malik Low come out to say that, well, people were saying that the local government commissions were targeting Taliban, but it was set up for her.
No, it wasn't. Everybody agrees with me that the councils need reforms, and you cannot do these reforms without knowing exactly what's happening there, both administratively but also at the fiscal level. And the Commission of Inquiry will just do that to help us understand what's happening, the gaps, the weaknesses, even also the strengths, and help us reform them so that they can serve the public.
Good morning. Please ask Dr. Ceesay why board schools receive their salaries late, and this is from Mr. Fall.
Again, I'm sorry, I apologize. I did not inquire, but I'll do so once I leave the studio.
Stop promising and not delivering.
Well, there's a lot of things happening at the same time. I deliver some. The one from Turkey I delivered.
Okay.
Someone asked, I think, about how they can acquire passports in Turkey. I did that one I'm delivering.
So how can they?
For that one, there are 4 permanent or stationed passport
centers.
Mm-hmm. But also, these centers can also go mobile. So depending on demand, let's say, for example, the people, Gambians in Turkey, there's high demand for passports. They can now have activate the mobile section to go to Turkey and provide those passports.
To fly from the Gambia to Turkey?
No. These permanent centers in Europe, those are the ones who will be going to, they'll have a mobile section as well. These are the ones who will be going to Turkey or any other country.
So a team will fly from Brussels to Turkey?
if, for example, Brussels has an enrollment
Well, it
center,
should have.
that's what I'm
Brussels
saying.
is a major center
Yes,
for us.
I think the countries are UK. Let me find out. In fact, I have it here. It's just bear with me.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this one is the ones locally.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is, I know UK. I think Spain, and if I'm not sure the other two. What I'm saying is that I think the USA as well. They have a mobile section as well. So if, for example, the one in Greece or the one in Spain, obviously, saw that there is high demand in Greece for biometric passport, they activate the mobile section to go to Greece and provide those passports.
Good morning, Mr. Gomez. Can you ask the doctor, can the government and the Minister of Interior come up with permanent solution to the MRP passport printer problem now? The diaspora is in shock at the moment.
Well, like I said, the MRP is being phased out. It will not exist anymore very soon.
So what's an alternative for those in the diaspora who need to regularize their stay and all of that?
We are expanding enrollment of biometric passports.
Yeah, but until that happens, I mean, imagine somebody in employment and your employer says, listen, your documents are expired. So we can't keep you in this job until you bring us, new valid papers.
Well, I'm not sure what the issue is. I'll find out what I know is when I spoke with the minister last week was that the MRP is being phased out. I'm not sure whether there are current issues with it, technical issues. We'll find out and make sure that the needful is done.
Apparently there was a gathering of the NPP and its allies. And the reason I bring this up is somebody has just sent a text message. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Please ask Ismaila whether the Citizens Alliance held a congress prior to its alliance with the NPP or was CA a one-man party. So what happened at this meeting of the NPP and its allies?
At this conclave.
It's called a conclave.
No, I'm just using the term conclave. At this meeting, it was a strategic meeting of NPP and the coalition partners. 8 parties met during the weekend.
Including CA.
Including CA. Each party is represented by their regional chairperson and their national and their regional women mobilizer. So the meeting was very successful. Is to put plans in place.
Okay, I was going to say I was going to ask with an aim to achieving what?
Obviously, to put plans in place and to ensure that we win the election in 2026.
Hi, Uncle Peter.
And by the way, if you may permit me,
yeah, sure.
CA is not a one-man party. CA is having their congress on Saturday at Somajara to elect new party officials.
Okay. And when is the PPP having it? NPP having
NPP had their congress was it in January, I think?
NPP?
Of course, in Soma.
NPP?
Peter, where are you?
Really?
Yes, of course.
What do I know? So it's only CA that remains to have its congress.
So we'll have our congress on this Saturday at Soma.
Okay. Hi, Uncle Peter. I still want to know how far the Gambia-Spain circular migration and that of Saudi Arabia is.
Well, I think Saudi Arabia, there are, 20-something of them have already been dispatched to Saudi Arabia. I think they've started work. That I can confirm. For the Spain one, there is no news yet. What I can confirm is that we've received over 10,000 applications, and I think the processing and the selection process will start soon.
Okay. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Please advise the ministers to stop blaming Tombong and UDP about using derogatory remarks. He did that previously before joining Barrow.
Well, what I can say is that we don't expect such remarks from a serious political party who claims to be the biggest opposition. We expect something better from them.
Okay. Shame on UDP for being silent on the massive corruption going on in the UDP-led councils. They are not fit to lead the Gambia. Peter, tell Ismaila the local councils need reform, but central government also needs big reforms because there is a big level of corruption there. This should not surprise you.
Obviously, in fact,
corruption has dogged
part of the
this
reforms,
government,
Part of the reforms that we have embarked on is implemented by the Minister of Public Service. If you may permit me, Peter.
Sure.
The Minister of Public Service, administrative reforms, policy coordination and delivery, through the PMO, has completed the first 2 phases of the 2024 staff audit. Now, the audit covered key ministries including basic and secondary education, health, agriculture, livestock, and livestock security. As a result of the government As a result, the government has stopped the salaries of 1,424 public servants who were unaccounted for during the audit process. The second phase, conducted in December 2024, extended to the entire civil service, including the Gambia Armed Forces. In parallel, the government also undertook a pensioners audit and a verification exercise of the database of deceased personnel. These reforms are part of a broader effort to promote efficiency, transparency, and fiscal accountability in public service delivery. So yes, the government is serious with reforms at the central government level, and we are doing very well in that front. When it comes to the corruption that he's talking about, this government, the measures that this government has taken to fight corruption and graft, no previous government has done it. For the first time, there's an anti-corruption act, and the commission is being, currently as we speak, the shortlisting is taking place set up the commission. We've enhanced and strengthened the powers and the promotional efficiency of the National Audit Office, obviously.
How have you strengthened the powers of the National Audit Office?
We've given them the latitude to do their work in line with their mandate. We're not involved in the business of scuttling them or to frustrate their work. That is why today they can go to any public department and do their audit and publish the results. And action is taken as we speak. There are over 9 cases with the Inspector General of Police. Some of these cases have been forwarded to this Attorney General for
no action yet.
No, but these things are a process. Government is a process. Government is a process. Everybody knows that. But at the same time, also we've also amended and come up with new laws, particularly new procurement laws. All these things are geared towards ensuring that we fight corruption. This government is very serious in fighting corruption, and we are doing everything we can. Like I said, the measures we've taken to fight corruption has never been taken before. On the transparency and accountability front, we are the best. No government has been more transparent, more accountable to the public. Going
back to the Public Service Ministry statement, I see everybody, highlighting, the salaries of 1,424 ghost or absentee workers being stopped. In the original statement I received, the salaries of another 697 personnel in the security and other ministries for April was stopped as well. So we're talking about over 2,000 people
if that is the case,
not getting a pay in April.
Well, I don't have that info. I don't have it. What I have is this. But if that is the case, let's assume for the sake of assumption that is the case. And then that is right.
I will forward the statement to you.
Yes, please.
We don't. I'm sure if you call him by
boy,
he will tell you that Peter is right.
No, I'm not denying it.
An
what
additional
I'm saying is that I don't have it.
697 salaries for this month, April, is stopped pending proof of existence by the people affected.
But that is positive. That is good news. So that shows that the government is doing what it can to ensure that we reform what we think was a gap in the system that's being abused. So I think this is good news.
Where did this meeting between the NPP and its allies take place?
It took place on Sunday.
Where is the question, not when. Where did this meeting take place?
At the State House.
Okay. I have a text message. Should that political meeting be held at the State House grounds or in the NPP political bureau? The State House should be divorced from political gatherings as it is a seat for all Gambians, whether in ruling or opposition parties.
The State House is a political, how do you call it again? Is the home of the presidency. It's the seat of government. I think the president can have political meetings at the State House.
Adama Barrow is your president, just as he is president of Usainu Dabo, Esam Baifal, Peter Gomez.
Adama Barrow receives all sorts of Gambians at the State House, those that are not even politically affiliated. For me, I don't even think this thing should be an issue.
Oh no, it should be.
It should not be an issue.
The man just went around the country and boasted that NPP has state-of-the-art political bureaus all over the place.
The president can decide to
so if the NPP is going to meet, the best place to meet is in one of its many bureaus across the country.
The best place to meet is where the president decides. That is for him where it's more appropriate. That is the best place for the president to meet, do meetings wherever he wants to. That is what is important.
All right. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Can you ask your guest, how far with the allowance situation of public health officers? They made a sit-down strike, and then the Director of Health Services promised that they will receive their allowance in subsequent year, that is 2024, but still they haven't received anything. The sit-down strike happened in July 2023, and they were denied the full salary for that month. What is the fate of it, or are they encouraging discrimination in civil service?
Well, if you can text that message to my WhatsApp, and I'll make a follow-up.
Okay, no problem. That's easy. That's easy. Good morning, Uncle Peter. The development we need in the Gambia is transparency to be there for the young Gambians. And Uncle Peter, the poor woman who stole those items is sad, and these are reasons why the government should try and reduce the price of food items.
But, I mean, stealing is...
So Gambia is no more smiling coast, but crying coast.
Well, I think the Gambia is the smiling coast. It remains to be the smiling coast. And I've argued this here before, and I'll argue it again today, that Gambians are better off today than they were, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago, even 30 years ago. And that's a fact.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. The UDP and the government are two sides of the same snake. No matter where you grab, you will still grab a snake. The UDP is silent on the corruption allegations against UDP-led councils, just like the government is silent on matters led by NPP-led council.
Well, it's a personal opinion.
Two sides of the same snake. No matter where you grab, you still grab a snake. Hi, Uncle Peter. Can you please ask the minister what happened to the salaries paid to those ghost workers for the past years or months? Do they intend to tell us who was receiving those salaries and how much in total?
This is part of the... It's a very good question.
It's a very good question.
It's part of the
indeed.
investigations. What I know that the Public Service Ministry will investigate this. They'll have to obviously look, for example, the banks. They'll have to find out who was receiving the salary. Maybe the salary is still there if the person is not receiving it. But this is part of the ongoing reforms, and investigation will be done, and this information will be shared with the public.
I know I have kept you here longer than you intended to be here. One final question. Will you face any opposition for the leadership of the CA when your meeting finally takes place?
Well, I'm not sure yet.
You're not sure yet?
No.
But you will put up yourself as, a leadership candidate?
Well, I have not personally nominated myself. I have seen that I've been nominated by people who still believe in my leadership.
Can you nominate yourself? I thought...
Of course, you can nominate. The two ways of nomination. You nominate yourself, or that somebody else can nominate you. But I think there are quite a lot of people within the party who still believe and have confidence in my leadership, and they've nominated me overwhelmingly, and I've duly accepted their nomination to continue leading this party.
Fantastic. Congratulations, and thanks for coming to the program.
Thank you, Peter.
Next week you won't be here because, the 2 hours have been taken over by Alhaji Mustafa Njai, a.k.a. TAF of TAF Africa Global. So look forward to an engaging conversation again next Tuesday from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Also next week, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, Mayor of Kanifing Municipality, on Monday. That is next Monday. That's the 28th. It's coffee time with Peter Gomez.
Excellent jam, Suwaid.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.